What's up, guys? This is Zach with Top Deck Nation, and today we're going to be looking at a bit of a set reveal from the new Sun and Moon 2 set. So, if you don't know already, the first Sun and Moon set, the base set, it's already been released out in the States and in Japan and everything. We actually got it just a couple weeks ago, I believe. But the second set, which is called Guardians Rising here in the States, but called Islands Waiting for You and Moonlight of Alola in Japan, since they get two mini sets, that is going to be released in March. And we're not going to be getting that set until May, but it looks like the Japanese Pokemon website did actually release a bunch of these scans here. So there's a lot of interesting stuff. There's a lot of new Pokemon with abilities that are going to, hopefully change the game for the better. As I kind of skimmed over them, they look pretty interesting. But there are a couple cards in particular I want to look at, and especially Tapu Lele. I don't know if you guys have been hearing the hype behind it in the one day that this page has been up, but Tapu Lele seems to be really broken, really good, and I think it's going to find its way in a lot of decks. So I'm going to just go over that, and then of course I'm going to give credit to pokebeach.com. They have a lot of great news and articles and things like that. So definitely give credit to them for allowing me to kind of skim over here and look at these scans here. So the first couple cards I want to go over are some GXs that I think are going to be really good. Honestly, all these GXs are they're kind of mind blowing, to be honest. The GX attacks, every time I read them, I'm just like, oh my gosh. But then I have to kind of remind myself that it's a once per game kind of thing, not a once per Pokemon, but a once per game kind of mechanic. So, otherwise, these attacks are just kind of, out of this world. Turtonator here, for example, we have Nitro Tank GX. That's a pretty awesome name. So for 1 fire energy, attach 5 fire energy from your discard to your Pokemon in any way you want. So that is insane. Can you imagine this in, something like a Volcanion deck? Typically you have to slowly power up things with like the baby Volcanion, the non-EX. You're doing like 20 damage with Power Heater. You're attaching a couple energy from the discard, and you're just slowly building them up. You have Max Elixir, but a couple times during the game you probably want to do Power Heater as well. But Turtonator is just ridiculous because that deck doesn't even really need GX attacks, but just to use this once and attach 5 fire energy to your Pokemon, that's insane. You can power up essentially a couple Volcanion, or maybe like a Volcanion and like a non-EX attacker like Entei. So Turtonator is really good, but the GX attack isn't even the only thing it has going for it. It's got 190 HP. It's really bulky. The first attack, it says it does 20 damage, and then if it's damaged by an attack, your opponent actually takes 80 damage, so 8 damage counters. That is insane. That just kind of sets you up for some further knockouts there. And then you have Crimson Flame. So for 3 energy, it does a nice clean 160. So, not quite enough to knock out an EX, but if you put a Fighting Fury Belt on it, if you're using Volcanion's ability Steam Up, yeah, it should be way more than enough to knock out anything your opponent has active. Now, you do have to discard 2 fire energies, but that's, small price to pay when you're getting a knockout. Chances are you just switch into a different attacker like Volcanion, you just Max Elixir, etc., Power Heater. Turtonator, definitely expected to see in some Volcanion decks. I think it's really good. It's fantastic. I don't really see anything that's really kind of favored against it. It seems pretty awesome overall. And the other big one that I want to reveal here, or not reveal, but kind of look over here. Let's see, it's not Tapu Koko. Yeah, here we go. Tapu Lele. I'm not really sure where it went. Okay, here we go. Tapu Lele. So, if you're familiar with the expanded format, you know that there's a card called Jirachi EX, and it's used in a lot of decks. Think about anytime you need a supporter card, Jirachi is really your go-to card. It's got this ability called Stellar Guidance, and as soon as you play Jirachi down, you can search your deck for a supporter and just kind of put it in your hand and play it if you want to. But that's good and expanded because you have a lot of decks that really depend on things like Wally. So for example, Trevenant decks, they're always playing a couple Wally to get the turn 1 Trevenant for the item lock. But a lot of times, if you're playing 2 copies of a card, you're probably not going to see it your first turn. So Jirachi helps balance that out. You can play Ultra Ball, Level Ball, etc. to get Jirachi super easy to get out, and more than likely you're going to get the turn 1 item lock. And Tapu Lele basically, to me is kind of like the love child between Jirachi EX and then Mewtwo and Lugia EX. So, Mewtwo back in the day was like the card to get. I remember when I pulled it out of a booster box, I was just ecstatic. I got another one at a pre-release. It had that X ball attack. I think it did 20 times the number of energy on both of you, so the opponent and the active Pokemon. But Tapu Lele is basically the same thing. It's really just kind of Jirachi and Mewtwo wrapped in one. It's got Wonder Touch. Once during your turn when you play it, you can search for a supporter. So really good. And then Energy Drive, like I said, the only difference is that it doesn't apply weakness or resistance. So I think the card developers definitely learned from the the so-called Mewtwo wars from back 4 or 5 years ago. So it's good to see that. So if you do want to attack with it, it's just kind of a clean damage, clean energy, clean attack here. And then the GX attack is also really good as well. So for 1 energy, restore all HP to 2 of your bench Pokemon. I mean, that is insane. I mean, it's like a double max potion, except you don't have to discard the energy. So, really strong card here. Is it going to be a Shaman replacement? Definitely when Roaring Skies rotates, I can see you playing at least 2 of this guy. Keep in mind, Verse Seeker is going to rotate, and who knows what else is really going to be rotating. I think Trainer's Mail is also in Roaring Skies as well, but if I had to guess, I would say the format is going to be Breakthrough on, just to make sure they're keeping that break mechanic, the Pokemon breaks. But Tapu Lele I think is going to see a lot of plays, so definitely have it on your radar. It's going to be a great card to invest in my opinion. So that's probably the biggest set reveal or card reveal from the set, in my opinion. I think it's the card to get. But there's a ton of other GXs that are going to be in this set. For example, we have Tapu Koko, which is, pretty popular. I think in the cartoon, it's the one that kind of favors Ash and Pikachu. But Tapu Koko, it's got this ability called Arrow Trail. Once during your turn, when you play it, you can move any number of lightning energies attached to it, or attach your Pokemon to it, and then switch it to your active. So I think it's really similar to Dragonite EX that has that ability Bust In, and it basically does the same thing. But this is a really good counter to like Eviltal decks and Dark decks in general, or I guess Mega Rayquaza decks as well. For 3 energy, it's doing 130, so really just a nice clean amount of damage to kind of knock out a lot of the non-EX versions of things like Baby Eviltal, Baby Volcanion, Greninja, not the break, but just the Greninja itself. So the clean, 130 damage is a very clean number. It's knocking out a lot of stuff, and it's going to be one-shotting a lot of your darks and your colorless Pokemon as well. And then we have Tapu GX, Tapu Thunder GX, does 50 damage times the number of energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon. So, I mean, this is really just kind of wiping the floor with any kind of Eviltal deck. It's primarily going to be in some kind of lightning type deck. So if you've played like Raikou Electrode, it's possible it could come back in that, or maybe it'll come back in something else. Maybe Vikavolt will see some play. I know it's kind of hard to get out right now because you don't exactly have, the consistency cards to really get Vikavolt out turn 1, or turn 2, I should say. I think the basic's a grass Pokemon, so you can use Forest of Giant Plants, but then the stage 1 isn't, so it'll take you an extra turn. But that could be a partner, you never know. But Max Elixir in general sounds like it could be good. Another card just to kind of keep your eye on is going to be Lycanroc GX. So that artwork's pretty awesome. I guess he's like a werewolf. But the ability Bloody Eye, when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you can switch one of your opponent's bench to their active. So if you're familiar with things like Pokemon Catcher, Lysander, basically the same effect, a gust of wind effect if you're like an older player. So, bring something up from the bench and just get a quick knockout. So, you could see it in a lot of decks just for that ability, not necessarily because it's an attacker. But as an attacker, it does a decent job here. For a fighting in DCE, it does 110 damage. So, it's kind of two-shotting most stuff. And then, once again, another kind of, busted GX attack, which I think they're all just kind of broken. That the mechanic just kind of really just kind of blows my mind, to be honest. But Death Rogue GX, 50 times the number of your opponent's benched Pokemon. That is insane. Just think about... all the times you want to have a full bench, right? You want to have a couple shamans, you want to have your Pokemon, maybe a secondary attacker or two, but you're really gonna have to be careful because now, something like this is doing 200, 250 damage out of nowhere, and the fact that they can use this ability to just bring anything out. So, really, really strong overall. And then I think the last GX that's shown here is Tapu. So I think that makes 3 of the Tapus. I'm not really sure how many there are, but I think there are a few more. This is a grass Pokemon, so it'll be pretty good with these grass decks that are using Forest of Giant Plants, possibly like Decidueye. But Horn Attack, it does a clean 30, so not bad. For 3 energy here, it does 120, so that's pretty good. And then you can discard all your energy to do 60 more, so 180 damage. Now, at that point, you're kind of in the territory of Decidueye, just kind of making this card really good. 180 damage plus 3 of Decidueye's ability drops. I think that's going to be, 240 damage. And that's, pretty insane. I mean, that's more than enough to knock out anything. And then the GX attack 150 and heal all this Pokemon's HP. So, I mean, that's also pretty good. I mean, if you need a finishing attack, if you need to heal Tapu Bulu before it gets knocked out, maybe in the late game or something, this is definitely the attack. So, I like how the card developers are making this so versatile. I mean, there's so many ways, so many ways they're making the game better. I think, they're giving every type kind of a chance to succeed. I mean, previously, I thought that, for example, grass Pokemon were just really terrible in general. The attacks were terrible. You couldn't get them out, but Forest of Giant Plants kind of balanced it out. It's kind of sad to see it rotating more than likely. But I like to see the replacements here. I like seeing Tapu Bulu, Decidueye. I mean, there's a lot of really good grass Pokemon that I think are going to make the game better. And, pretty much every type in general. But there's a lot of other cards here, guys. Just so much news that came out in the span of like an hour or 2 ago. Salazzle, I like this ability, Hot Poison. So when you evolve it, you can make your opponent's Pokemon poisoned and burned. Now, I'm not completely familiar with the changes with the burn mechanic, but I do know it is much better than before. So, basically the poison damage is, 10 between turns. So it's a little bit of extra damage, but the burn, I believe, is up to like 30 damage now or 20 damage or something. So, they did change the mechanic. I think it's better, but I think that ability is pretty good. I mean, you have to keep everything into context because we don't really know what is going to be, in the set. I think we get the set the first week of May, I think May 5th or so, and Japan's going to be getting it March 13th. So roughly about a month and a half in between is the kind of gap that we have. So we don't really know what else is in the set so far. Alolan Sandslash is pretty interesting here. Snow Shovel ability, once during your turn, draw a card. So it reminds me of, I want to say, what's it called? Slurpuff from, I can't even remember the set. I want to say Roaring Skies, but I'm probably wrong. But it had that ability that let you draw a couple cards. And, this is similar. I mean, it's just a very clean, straightforward draw a card. So, I mean, you could possibly have some kind of deck that can utilize, Dive Ball or something to kind of search it out really quickly, or something that just kind of burns through the deck. Mimikyu is really interesting. I like this card a lot. So Pilfer, just draw 2 cards. So, not too bad. But this attack called Mimic, if your opponent uses an attack during his or her last turn, excluding GX attacks, you get to use that attack. So if you're familiar with Zoroark's, I think it's called Foul Play, and then the Zoroark Break, I think it is the same attack. You just basically copy your opponent's attack, and that's really good against something like Mega Rayquaza or, lots of different scenarios where you could just take a quick knockout because of that. So, and, I like this card because in Expanded, you do get Dimension Valley, and Dimension Valley says that your psychic Pokemon actually pay 1 less colorless energy to attack. So Pilfer, you can attack for free, and then Mimic, you're attacking just for 1 energy. So I think it's just really good. It could be a really solid tech in decks like Trevenant or, some kind of Mewtwo deck. But in general, I think it's really interesting here. And let's see what else we have. We have Kamala. Kamala has this ability called Certain Sleep. So if this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, when you attach an energy, it's now asleep. So basically, you're just kind of setting up for this attack. It is 100 damage. You can only use it while it's asleep. So, I mean, not the greatest here. More of a gimmick, I guess. Not quite as notable as the other ones. But this card right here, I think it's called Delmas. This ability is really interesting. It's called Metallurgy. And as long as it's in play, your metal Pokemon's attacks do 10 more damage. So I really like this a lot because a lot of times you're just kind of off by 10 or 20 damage. So you could definitely pair this up with Reverse Valley and just kind of add a bunch of damage. And in Expanded, it makes it even better because you have Fighting Fury Belt and Muscle Band. So there's so many damage modifiers, and this can make a lot of decks really interesting, like Genesect EX or Dialga EX that, didn't really see a whole lot of play. But I think that this ability is really strong, and it probably means there's going to be more metal support in this set. So that's probably the main reason this guy was printed. And let's see if there's anything else that is just really notable here. This stadium here is called Ether Paradise Conservation Area. Sorry, it's like 2 in the morning while I'm uploading this video. So, I do apologize if I'm kind of tired here. Each player's basic grass and lightning Pokemon takes 30 less damage from its opponent's attack. So this is actually really strong as well. Any kind of deck that is using grass Pokemon or lightning Pokemon, so the Tapu Abbulu and the Tapu Lele, the Tapu Koko, like stuff like that. I mean, taking less damage is always good, especially in a format where your opponent can't really knock off your Fighting Fury Belt. I mean, it's going to be a really bulky Pokemon. And I think that, let's see, which one had it? Was it the Tapu Bulu? It healed all the damage from it. So, I mean, this is really good with that stadium. I think it's going to be really strong. And I think that's pretty much it. If I did leave anything out, guys, just let me know. I do apologize. Again, it's really late, and I'm trying to get this video uploaded while I'm still awake here. But I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, I'm looking forward to this set. It's called Guardians Rising or Guardians Rise. It's going to come out in May, West Side, but in Japan, it's going to be March 17th, it looks like. But you can definitely check it out. I'll put this link in the description below, but comment below. Let me know what you think. If you're looking forward to this set, do you think that Tapu Lele is going to be, a 1 or 2 of in every deck? Should everybody get 4 of these? Is this the new Shaman? There's a lot of similarities to Shaman because, it's a very highly playable card. I mean, I had to get a playset of Decidueye the last set because I think it's probably the best card of the base set. But I think this is just kind of on its own level. I mean, any kind of deck can use this. Any kind of deck can grab a 1-of supporter off an Ultra Ball now, like Team Flare Grunt or Olympia. So, I mean, it's just really good. And the extra attacks to boot, the extra HP, it's just, so much better than like Lugia or Jirachi EX or anything. So really strong. But let me know what you think about Tapu Lele, if it's going to be really good, or if it's just kind of hyped, or, let me know about anything else, any of the cards here, if there's something else that's been leaked by the time this is posted, but just let me know. I'll be sure to post a link, like I said, but be sure to check out our Facebook page, like it so you can stay updated and everything. Be sure to subscribe. I really appreciate the support, guys. We've hit over, I think 1,500 subscribers, and it just means the world to me because I do try to put a lot of work into it. Hopefully I can make some more consistent videos for you guys. And be sure to check out our website. In the next couple weeks, I am going to have it relaunched. I've been working really hard on some things in graduate school and stuff, but, I should have it up. I'm going to try to have more free guides, articles, things of that kind of nature to hopefully get new players into the game. So check it out. But in the meantime, this has been Zach with Top Deck Nation. Thanks so much for watching. And I'm going to bed now. So yeah, thanks for watching.